1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay, Quincy's right here. He wanted to do this video with me. Yeah, I don't know. I was only gonna make 2 videos, but I really kind of wanted to finish that chapter about Tanner, aka a young Mr. Green. Check out this picture, you guys. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of like really faded because it's pencil. But like, oh yeah, you can kind of see it. Stop that. Look at his whiskers coming down. Stop that. You want this, huh? Is that what you want? Here, go play with that shit. Okay, look at this. It's like a fucking deer. It's like all like fancy and stuff. I don't know if you can really see it. It's kind of really faded. Maybe I can trick the camera out. Nah, I can't. Anyways, I just wanted to finish that chapter about Tanner because I'm really curious what's gonna happen. I know he's like well, yeah, we'll see what happens. Alright, Ashley's blood went to ice. That voice was masculine, calm, and not at all the captain's. Ashley scrubbed harder, but the tension grew more and more unbearable. Let me see what Quincy's doing with this piece of tape. I don't want him to eat it. I don't know, they're just fucking sniffing it. Is that what you want, a little piece of tape? Let me go throw away this piece of tape and I'll be back. Hi, baby. You crazies. What are you doing? Look at my crazies. These are my fucking maniacs and hysterics right here. But I don't slap them and shit like that. I'm nice. Alright, where is it? Ashley scrubbed harder, but the tension grew more and more unbearable. What if it was a friend of the captain's? Wouldn't have to be greeting old Monty like that? Monty, I guess, is the dog. An intruder. Wait, did he say something to the dog? I didn't see that. Okay, maybe that page is missing. I don't know. Wouldn't have to be greeting old Monty like that. An intruder, wait. Now I don't have the page anymore because I fucking threw it over there. Now I don't know which one it is. Okay, I'll have to look back at this story again. Blah, 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 blah. An intruder wouldn't take the time to talk to the dog. An intruder wouldn't come in broad daylight. But what if? Should he be running and alerting? The stranger laughed again from down the narrow hall. The dog's barks had faded into eager whimpers and the click of his nails as he danced on the wood floor. Good boy, good boy. He had to pass by here. There was no other way. What was down here? This room, the kitchen, at the end of the hall, and the living room, with the stairs between them. Was this man with the captain? That would explain things, but Ashley couldn't hear a trace. No voice, no extra pair of bootsteps, nothing. He looked at the counter again. A red spot he had somehow missed. He swiftly mopped it up, and as he did, another fell with eerie weight onto the back of his little hand. Shit! The yelp escaped. Oh, I guess it was more like shit! The yelp escaped, scrambling from his lips before he could catch himself. He clapped a hand to his face, over his nose and mouth, and stepped back uneasily from the counter. Abandoning the rag there, wet blood ran between his fingers. God, fucking Father in heaven, Ashley muttered nervously. His voice shook. Now he knew he could not get away. He could not go unseen. The stranger knew he was there, and it was evident he had stopped talking to Monty, as much as the old orange dog begged and whined for attention, and then headed towards the kitchen and stepped into view. Ashley's eyes, which were already large, exclaimed his surprise when he didn't make a sound. Not the captain. Certainly not the captain. This stranger was tall, younger than the farm owner they knew, and as dark of complexion as pure coffee. His head and face were shaved down to smooth skin. He was dressed in a red plaid shirt with the long sleeves pulled back to the elbows and work pants. In turn, the man stared back at him. Maybe Ashley wasn't the sight he had been expecting either. Maybe whatever he had thought he'd encounter, it wasn't this filthy little cherub of a white child, barefoot in hole-ridden jeans, and a blood-spotted white Stones t-shirt. The man shrugged off his surprise, though, in seconds, and approached Ashley. But as he came forwards, the boy stepped back. The stranger looked stunned for a moment, and then there was his laugh again. Crisp and loud across the kitchen. He reached out a hand, in contrast to the captain's, and many of the boys on the farm, really. There was no drawl on his voice. He sounded as concrete and steel, northern as Maury. Come here a minute, kid. Let me help you. What's your name? Ashley shuddered and scrambled back up against the wall. And then, like bubbles bursting, he yanked his hand down from his face, looking a morbid sight with the blood smeared across his nose and lips. Get your damn soul away from me, devil! Ashley barked frantically at him. With his cracked voice, he only seemed that much more like a child. You touch me and I'll take your whole hand off like you never would have thought. With such an assault, I never realized this story had like some racism in it. But it has been a long time. I haven't looked at it for 7 years, so, you know. I forgot that this is part of the story. And it is supposed to take place in the South, so, I don't know. Not to say all Southerners are racist, you know. Just, it could happen, you know. With such an assault, again looking taken back, the stranger finally took a couple of steps in reverse. He looked at the strange boy over again, whose discolored eyes looked near tears. And you know the other thing about it? I don't think this story is too specific on what time period it is. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be... I think it's supposed to take place, like, in the 80s or 90s or something. But it's not, like, definite, you know? I mean, it is another fucking, as I said in previous videos, it is basically another fucking dimension where everybody acts weirdly, so I guess it's not really any specific, like, decade or anything, or any time period, but it seems more like the 90s, which is like, okay, you know, I don't know. Or it doesn't really matter, I guess, I don't know, it could be whatever. It just doesn't seem like modern, you know? Anyways, where the fuck was I? With such an assault, again, looking taken back, the stranger finally took a couple of steps in reverse. He looked this strange boy over again, whose discolored eyes looked near tears. All right, he defended, putting his hands up a little. Don't lose your mind. Deciding to introduce himself then. I'm Tanner. I'm gonna work here now. Your guardian is my boss, I guess you could say. You want to tell me your name now? It's not much to ask, right? Just a name. Ashley shook, squinting at him. So much confusion through his head that his mouth was dammed up by it, and he could not speak. What? He stuttered out, squinting at Tanner, as if he thought the man was just a vision. Who? Guardian? What? You mean the captain? Good God, you strange thing standing there. At that moment, then, their standoff was interrupted by the sudden banging open of the front door, the resounding whack as the wood hit the plaster wall. Like, once again, with these loud noises. Like, nothing ever happens where it's like, yeah, it made a noise, but it's not, like, fucking the loudest thing ever, you know? And again, the dog was barking at this racket, but only for a couple of moments. He knew his master. And then he went back to his panting and excited whimpering. So that was the captain fucking up his own door, huh? The captain appeared in seconds, stepping into the kitchen with long strides, not hurrying exactly, but Ashley could recognize instantly by the look on his face, and the way he ignored his tail-wagging dog that he was determined on something. He froze for a moment to see Tanner and Ashley standing across from one another, and what to Ashley was disturbingly unnatural in this tense moment, he flashed a grin to the other man and put out a hand to shake. Mr. Yule. Tanner Yule is his name. Interesting. Not Mr. Green. I swear to God, I have a character now that I use in an almost exact same shit. It's another farm setting, It's another thing where a bunch of people just live on the farm and work there, but it's not. They're not fucking crazy like this. They're a little more. They are a little off, but they're not like this. And, yeah, the dude is Mr. Green. He's just, you know, one of the guys in charge of the farm. He's a black dude with a shaved head, just like this guy. And, yeah, you know. He's kind of like that good cop, bad cop thing, where, like, clearly, like, the captain, which I think is really funny now that I was calling him Robert E. Lee, considering what's in this story. But the captain is clearly supposed to be, like, you know, bad cop, Mr. fucking, like, strict asshole, you know. And then, Tanner Ewell is supposed to be, like, the chill dude, you know. The updated, like, with the times type guy, you know, and who's, like, treats people with, compassion and shit like that. Although, the captain was sweet on fucking Gessie's annoying ass. I swear to God, like, Gessie is so lucky everybody else doesn't just whoop his fucking ass. But, I don't think that was on my mind when I was writing this. Alright, let's see. Tanner smiled back to him, leaving one hand on his hip and accepting the shake with the other. Call me Tanner, and the captain chuckled at that, and, stood up a little bit straighter. Ashley shifted suspiciously away from them both, and crept to the sink to wash off his stained face. I was hoping you'd be here, the captain said, hooking his thumbs into his back pockets. You already met Ashley. Ashley. Tanner looked his way. He gave a little nod. So that's your name. It's a nice name, you know, old-fashioned. The boy's shoulders tensed, and he scrubbed at his hands under the faucet water, trying as hard as he could to pretend he was alone in this kitchen. Well, come on, the captain motioned with his head towards the front door, and with that he was already moving to leave the kitchen. Let you meet what you're up against. They're good boys, all of them, but, again, that low laugh. Well, you'll see. You'll get to know them all. Yeah, and you'll get to see how the captain fucking abuses the shit out of them. And screams at them, like, non-stop. Cusses them out, insults them, and just, you know. Is he gonna show Tanner all that? He turned quickly down the hall then, before Tanner, if he had even wanted to, could say or ask a word. But Tanner himself didn't seem to mind. Smiling, he turned and followed the captain. Swiftly, the both of them disappearing down the hall. And at last, for Ashley, he took a fresh breath. They were gone. All he heard was the excited crying of the old retriever. And then the front door shut, and it was all silent. Monty bounded out onto the flat wooden porch after the two men, and when the sunlight soaked into his orange fur, he pranced across the weeds and grass, high-stepping, barking again with excitement. The captain and Tanner at his side went briskly out to where the captain's dirty white pickup truck was parked. Close to the house this time, he had driven up on the grass. So where are we headed? Tanner asked him. Oh, you'll see. Oh man, this is really faded. I don't know how this happened. I told you not to go up something shit, Maury was calling it Gessie. The blond man's hands were entwined in the tall metal fence, and he stood on the tips of his toes in his work boots, looking upwards like a coon hound at a tree. But instead of prey, it was his fellow. Gessie was perched up on top of the fence, straddling the narrow bar, and gripping for his life. Come on, I'll catch you, jump on down. That taunt this time was not Maury, but came from a deeper-voiced man on the other side of the fence. He was long-haired and curly-headed, dark-eyed and sharp-featured, half Arabic and half white, interesting, and smiling up. He wore a loose checkered overshirt, which looked way too hot in the sun, but was unbuttoned over his bare chest. Sounds hot. Hot in both senses of the word. Okay. That page is done. So I'm assuming that part right there was that part I was reading before when Gessie's on the fence and they try to get him down, his stupid ass. Okay, let's see. The other farmhands noticed his caution, the way he made an arc as he walked towards them, not a direct line to creep up on the captain's back, as if he had much experience in staying out of people's way. And the look on his face, Mihi had not seen that expression of an interested student watching a teacher since he himself was a boy in school half a lifetime ago. In careful but unyielding movements, the captain hooked his boots into the chain links of the fence and worked his free hand under Gessie's damp belly. Before the young man could calculate an escape, before he could even look up, it seemed, if he wanted to, the captain gave him a strong, sharp tug. I don't think that's a good idea. He's gonna get hurt. You shouldn't do a sharp tug. You should kind of just, like, shift him slowly. That's what I would do. Gessie yelped out into the open air, and he tumbled down in an instant, off balance, off the fence, with a dull plop of weight onto... See, I don't think that's very safe. Why did he do it like that? Because we're all fucking stupid, and it's craziness. Where was I? Blah, 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 blah. With a dull plop of weight onto the captain's shoulder and a ringing of chain links. Careful, Tanner exclaimed, still with his student's demeanor, but like a modern student, not silent if the sight disturbed him. And Mori and Mihi, watching the scene, could see easily the uneasy look on his face just then. He's fine, answered the captain's gruff voice. Sure enough, Gessie was limp on his shoulder like a hide of beef. How old is this guy? Because I mean, he's clearly strong enough to, like, lift up all these young men and, like, pin them down and, like, he's gotta be fit. He's gotta be in good physical shape to be doing all this shit. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Skin and bones, but still, with his height, looking awkward and too big to carry. He was as silent as the grave, even though his eyes, under his hair, were welling up with tears all over again. Yes. Such is the way. With Gessie's heavy breath in his ear, the captain pushed off from the fence and dropped onto the grass below. It seemed like such a short distance then. Gessie opened his eyes. How could it have seemed so high, 100 feet up or more? He bit into his lip and clung to the captain's shirt, kneading it almost, like a cat, leaning against him. Don't be mad, his body begged. Don't be, please. The captain set him down almost right away, dropping him abruptly on his feet. Gessie stood huddled, standing awkwardly with his head down, tapping his fingers together and staring at their tips. Jeez, Tanner rubbed the back of his bare head. You could have hurt him. The captain was already wandering back for his truck. He shrugged it off, as if he thought the man was joking. He's tougher than he looks, the captain said. Still, but Tanner stopped then. Mihi and Mori, god damn it, almost leaned forwards, where they stood, with tense anticipation. Their curiosity begged, parched, for what might happen, but it would not be satisfied. Hey, you two, the captain's bark snatched their attention immediately. He nodded towards Gessie. What did I say about getting back to work, huh? Take him with you. It was a few hours past noon, but the sun was unrelenting. The earth baked. Down on the asphalt road, mirages appeared, hovering just above the ground. Tanner wandered through the farm with his hands in his pockets. He stepped carefully through the grass, the short layer near the wooden fence, then steadily approached the farmhouse and the cabins not spaced too far from it. He couldn't help but imagine, as he peered squinting up the hill against the sun, that the farmhouse exuded some type of protective air over those little one-room shacks. As a person does while contemplating, his brown eyes fell here and there on little things as he walked. A brown blade of grass, a ladybug perched alone at the end of it. Across a stretch of space, out into the valley, the crops stood in careful patches and lines. But here the land was wild, maybe waiting to be tamed, maybe just existing to be as it was. The grass was getting longer. He didn't notice the presence of one of the farmhands until the young man's voice made him jump. "So you're the new guy, huh?" he drawled without so much as a greeting. What is going on? Hey, cut that shit out. Stop that. You're about to little freak. Okay. I want to read one more page and then call it quits for the night. And I want to see what this guy says to Tanner. Tanner turned around faster, more sharply than he would have liked. His vision fell right upon the farmhand, sitting sprawled and lazy-looking on a dry tree stump, with his pant legs rolled up and barefoot. Is that a good idea? I guess he's just slacking off, not fucking working. He was red-haired, the same rusty color as that old retriever in the house. Golden retrievers are not rusty red. Like, I think it's like an Irish setter probably or something. I don't know. Oh no, but maybe, I guess, yeah, redhead means orange, so I don't know. Whatever. It's more blonde, I think, but okay. When I hear rusty, I think like, you know, like dark red hair. I don't know. From the greasy mop on his head to the skimpy hair on his shins. Somehow the boy was familiar, although Tanner couldn't place him. Had he seen him from the car window as he drove up this morning to the farmhouse? Or did they all more or less just resemble one another? Give it some time, a week or two, he thought to himself optimistically. I'll learn to tell them all apart. As he looked back, he could recognize immediately the gaze of the farmhand, looking him over, scanning eyes over Tanner's dark skin in obvious curiosity, despite the fact that the redhead's own eyes seemed stuck in perpetual squinting above his puffy cheeks. Tanner could not be bothered by his staring. He extended a hand. "Hey there. And what's your name, sweetheart?" The redhead answered him with brute silence and a cold eye-to-eye apathetic stare. "Are you kidding me?" Even though he didn't speak a word, Tanner had the phrase and the expression hardwired together in his mind. So many times that he had seen that same reaction, it all seemed like a routine blur. Alright, I'm cutting it off here. Next time we'll read more of this crazy shit.